Hello YouTube Pipers, Double O Pipe here, aka Rick, once again with my Savinelli Bing's favorite. But I'm going to try something a little different. It's called Berry Cobbler. I'm not sure where I got this or who makes it, but it smells a little of cherry. It's moist. It's been in this jar for a while, I don't know how long. I hope everybody's doing okay. Hope you don't mind me taking up time to poke a little tobacco into this pipe. I haven't been very active the last week or so. No real excuse other than I haven't actually felt like smoking a pipe. I haven't had a pipe since the last time I made a video. I don't know. Oh well, we shall see how this tastes. I don't know how to explain the taste. It's pleasant. Ran out of gas. So I'll be going with the matches. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's nice. Berry Cobbler. All I did was cut the name out and put it there. I didn't put the distributor or the people that make it. Where was I? Oh, I haven't been on. I haven't been on. I haven't been on YouTube piping community in over a week. It's also coming up Christmas time, as everybody is well aware. And as always, I thought of one Christmas way back when I was a little boy. At our church, every Christmas we would have what was called the Christmas tree. And that was a meeting of all the church folk, especially the children. It was primarily for the children, us. And what it was, we would show up, we would go to the communion hall, not the church itself, but into the communion hall. And there was a little stand, little stage, and on the stage was the Christmas tree. And normally this night there were presents all under the Christmas tree. And we would gather, and there would be folding chairs out where everybody would sit in the audience. And to our left would be a long table with a white linen cloth on top. And this would be the table where all the grown-ups, the mothers, would bring their covered dishes. Lots of festive things, cakes, cookies, some casseroles and such to eat. Of course, we kids weren't too concerned with food other than cookies, because this was our night, and all those gifts up there under the tree belonged to all us chillins. So the excitement was always very high for the kids, and they were always very rambunctious wanting to get to their packages. But they had to wait until the minister, the pastor, had given his talk and prayed his prayer and given his blessing to everyone there. And at the end of this talk, there would come from the kitchen, which was behind a door over next to that table with all the goodies on it, there would come, "Ho, ho, ho." And the minister would say, "Listen, children, doesn't that sound like it might be?" And every kid in the place screamed, "Santa!" He said, "Yes, I think it might be. Let's see. Go open that door." Somebody would open the door, and in would come this guy dressed up in his Santa suit with naturally a fake beard on their face, sometimes made of cotton, sometimes not, and his Santa hat drooping over his face. And he would come in and say, "Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, all you children. Merry Christmas. I got things here for you in my bag." He had a big bag, and in that bag, for every child, there was a presentation in a book form. It looked like a book, very thick, about as high as a book, thick, and you'd open it up, and inside, on both sides, there would be a plastic window, and inside would be rolls of lifesavers, different flavors, 5 or 6 on each side. It was a book of lifesavers. every kid got them. Don't know that every kid liked lifesavers, but heck, it was candy. What did we care? But every child got one of those. And the minister would say, "Well, hello, Santa, you're up here from the South Pole?" And the Santa would say, "Now, Sonny, you know my home is in the North Pole, not the South Pole." And all us kids would just laugh because we knew that. It was pretty obvious that grown-ups weren't as smart as we thought they were. So he said, "Well, you're from the North Pole. What are you here for?" He said, "I'm here for the children. I have a bag full of goodies, and I see that you have a Christmas tree that's loaded below with presents, obviously, for every child in here. So why don't we get started calling those children up?" And what they would do is Santa would sit in a chair. The minister would pull it over, and Santa would sit down and go, "Ooh," like he was an old man. And the minister would say, "Why don't we bring a package to you, and you can read out the name, and you can give the package to the child to whom it belongs, along with what you have in your bag." And he said, "Ho, ho, ho, what a good idea. Why don't we do that now?" So there were helpers who would go to the tree, bring a package over to Santa, who would read out the name of the child, and the child would run up there and get his package, and Santa would reach down into his bag and give one of these lifesaver books to the child, who would grab that too and run back to his chair and open up his package to see what he got. Now, normally, the folks brought in those packages so that there would be something under the tree for the child. And Santa always seemed to have the right amount of those lifesaver books in his bag. I don't know if they still make those lifesaver books or not, but that was always a staple for Christmas. At any rate, all the children would finally have their gifts and their book of lifesavers. And Santa would look in his bag, and it was just completely empty. And he would say, "Well, I reckon that's it, boys and girls. I've got to get back to the North Pole," looking at the minister, "and get ready for this week's big ride in the sky." And all the kids would jump up and start clapping, saying, "Thank you, Santa, thank you, Santa." And he said, I'll be by your homes sometime during the night of Christmas Eve." And he would pick up his sack, empty as it was, throw it over his shoulder, walk to the door and say, "Ho, ho, ho, good night, fellows." And through the door he'd go. Well, this particular year, I asked my mother, I said, "Do you think that we could take my cousin with us this time?" And she said, "Yeah, why don't you go ask your aunt and see if she'll allow it? And we could take him. Yeah, he should enjoy that." So I ran next door and walked into the house and walked up to my aunt and asked her if my cousin could go with us to the Christmas tree this year. And she said, yeah, that would be fine. I think he'd enjoy that. I said, that's great. And so I went in there and I told my cousin all about it, that we'd be going and what was going to happen, and there'd be presents there. And all the kids got presents from Santa. And he said, Ricky, I don't think I would get a present being there. I don't go to that church. I said, sure you will. Santa knows every child. He'll know you'll be there. He said, you think he'll know I'll be there? I said, sure, Santa knows these things. So he said, he brightened up and he said, you really think he'll have something for me? And I said, I'm positive he will. Now, I have to explain here that my cousin and I used to play Cowboys and Indians, which all kids did back in those days, politically correct or not. And I would always let him use my cap gun that was shaped like a Derringer. He loved that cap gun. And it took a roll of caps, and you could shoot it forever until the roll of caps just popped out. But he loved that. And when I was going back home, I was thinking to myself, maybe Santa won't know that he's going to be there, and maybe he won't. So I said to my mother, Mom, do you think it would be okay if I wrapped up a present and had it ready for my cousin under the tree? Because I don't know if Santa will have anything for him. She said, that sounds like a good idea, son. Why don't you do that? You got something you think he'd like? I said, I've got the very thing. Now, one thing you have to know, that my cousin, for some reason, I don't know why, had folded up a piece of paper, very tiny, and stuffed it into the barrel of my Derringer. Well, I never saw it, and he never mentioned it. So when I got the Derringer and wrapped it up, I didn't look to see if there was anything different about it. Well, excuse me, I wrapped it up and had it ready. And the night came that we were going. My mother got my cousin. I don't think my dad went because he always worked at night, so we didn't get much time with him. He worked at night and slept in the daytime. But we were there, my mother, me, and my cousin. And we got to the church and we went back to the communion hall where the Christmas tree was. And I said to my mother, ooh, I got to go to the bathroom. So I ran in real fast, went up to where the Christmas tree was and put that package with his name on it. And then cut back to the kitchen and went through the door. And when they came up and they were getting a chair, I came back through and said, boy, glad you let me go. I didn't know what to say. I was a kid. Well, I'm disappointed in this. I thought that I had packed this in such a way that it would stay lit, but I guess not. Still got a lot to learn. Could be this. Also very moist, too. I don't know. So, we got to our seats. All the kids were running around. They were just full of excitement about Santa coming. And finally, the minister up front said, "Shh, quieten down, quieten down." And the parents all got their children and went to the seats, sat down and made them all hush. And the minister went through his opening ceremony. Blessed everyone in the audience and all the children who were about to receive. Well, it's just going to go out, isn't it? And when he finished, through the door came the ho, ho, ho. And I hit my cousin. I said, "He's here." And my cousin said, "I still don't think he's going to have anything for me, Ricky." I said, "You wait and see. He's going to have something." I think I got down to the end of that. That's why it's not lighting. Anyway, well, I can still stick it in my face, can't I? Anyway, Santa came through the door and said, "Ho, ho, ho. Hello, boys and girls." And the kids just jumped up and screamed, "Hey, Santa!" And the parents all yanked them back down into their seats and told them to hush. And the minister said, "Welcome, Santa. Welcome from the South Pole." I think he did this every year. And Santa said, "No, son, that's the North Pole." And every year the kids would go, "Ha, ha, 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 ha." Stupid adults in their minds. And after Santa had straightened the minister out, the minister had pulled up a chair and had him sit down, went through the whole thing, said, "We're going to get somebody to bring the presents up, and we'll call the patient's name, the child's name." It's working too long in pharmacy. So there it went. The evening proceeded with presents being brought to Santa, who read out the name on the package that some parent had brought from home and put under the tree unbeknownst to the child, so that they thought it was from Santa. Child after child after child was called up and ran up there to get their present. Plus, still, out of his bag of goodies, he would pull that Lifesavers book out and hand it to the child at the same time. So the child ran back with his present and a book of Lifesavers. I like the flavor of this. I couldn't tell you what's in it, but I can tell you it has a good taste. Anyway, I kept looking expectantly, waiting for them to call my cousin's name. And we were getting toward the end, and my cousin leaned over to me and said, "See, Ricky, I told you he wouldn't know that I'd be here." I said, "Give it a chance, give it a chance. There's still things under the tree." And he said, okay, but I don't think one of them's mine. And then Santa called his name. And I said, see, I told you he'd have something for you. And he got all excited. And I said, you want me to go get it for you? He said, yeah. So I ran up there and got the present and got his book of lifesavers and ran back to the seat and gave it to him. And I said, see there? And he ripped it open, opened up the box, and his eyes just got big as saucers. And he looked in that box and he said, look, Ricky, it's a Derringer just like yours. I said, it is? And I looked over, I said, boy, you're right. Looks almost exactly like it. He said, I wish I had some caps. I'd like to see if it shoots like it, too. I said, well, you can't do that in the church. He said, oh, yeah, you're right, I can't. So I said, well, take it out and see how it fits in your hand and everything. And he took it out, and he just examined it as close as he could. He said, Ricky, it's just like the one you've got. I said, it sure looks like it, doesn't it? And then he looked in the barrel, and he said, it's exactly like yours, Ricky. I said, what do you mean it's exactly like mine? He said, I put a piece of paper in yours just like that. And Santa must have known it because he put it in there too. And I thought to myself, oh, jeez. I said, well, that Santa's something else, ain't he? He said, boy, he sure is, because I had been hoping for a Derringer just like yours, and now I've got it just exactly like yours. I said, it sure is. Oh. And after that excitement, Santa had finished with all of his presents, and all of the children had gotten theirs. And it was time for him to leave. And he left, and the parents got up and took us over to the table and got something to eat, and we got cookies in a little plate and chomped on those. And I went over and sat with my cousin. We had our cookies and milk, and he was just still bug-eyed about this Derringer, that it was exactly like the one he wanted, which was mine. That was such a good Christmas. Me. And it was really good, because he was really excited and he loved that present. So that's my story about my cousin and the Christmas tree at the church that year. I hope I didn't bore you, because I see I've taken up a lot of time here. But it was one of my favorite Christmas memories of all. My cousin died young, but it was always a blessing to be with him. Well, I will be back on another time before Christmas. I'm sure I can dredge up another Christmas memory. I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you have decent weather. We're supposed to have rain and a cold snap coming in. I don't know. We shall see. Oh, I did go out with the dog last night, Hunter, at about, not last night, but the night before, about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I walked outside, and we walked past the gate, and all of a sudden, boom. I said, what in the world is that stink? And that stink stayed with us until we walked over to the fence, and it disappeared. And coming back, it was still there, but it wasn't quite as heavy. And we went in, and I was thinking to myself, what in the world? That smells really bad. And then it occurred to me, that I had smelled that one other time whenever I was walking in the woods and had come upon a skunk who sprayed right in front of me as I was walking. And that smell was the exact same out there. And I'm positive there was a skunk in my yard that morning. But I am sure glad we didn't walk right into him. We obviously scared him though, but that's what that smell was. Hunter just walked through it, walked back, didn't even pay mind. he has very little curiosity about anything. All right, that's enough of me gabbing on. I have taken up too much of your time. You guys take care of yourselves. God bless you. Till the next time. We will talk to you then. Bye.